All right. First and foremost, give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kalkadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and who was worthy to be counted for double honors. Peace and salutations to you brothers out there pushing this truth wholeheartedly and sincerely and for love of the gospel. This is Brother Gabari from the Indiana camp, coming back at you again, one of the sit down. And I just basically typed in the scripture, which is Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 9, into the AI Gemini. Now, Gemini is another AI tool, just like Chat and just like Grok or any of those other AI tools that that brothers are familiar with. Gemini is basically the Google version of those apps. So I had typed in, I had asked the AI that says, what does Jeremiah 20 and 9 mean? And I just want to give their insight just to see what they were going to say, and their outlook on this scripture, which we know, the scripture goes into how Jeremiah was going through hell, and where to a point where, he didn't want to preach, or he didn't want to go out and warn the people no more, because that's how sick and tired he was of the rebellion and then their hard-headedness, and we coming in at stead clearly sees why he felt that way. Sometimes going on the highways and byways and doing these videos and dealing with certain individuals of our nation makes you want to yank your hair out your head, all right, and just makes you like, what, I want these people to feel the wrath of the Lord, but at the same time, we have a job to do. No matter how frustrated it might be, no matter how head banging that it might seem sometimes, we still have a job to do. The Lord called us out there to wake up the 1/3 first and foremost. See, we can really care less about the 2/3. We understand that they're not going to get it, So, but still, it does make it a frustrating daily walk for us to do, And like Yodayash always say, we're righteous men trying to live in a wicked society. So those two things right there is like oil and water. They're not gonna never mix. So as long as we stay in this place, our righteous soul, our the spirit that's dwelling inside of us is always gonna be vexed. It's always gonna feel some type of way. It's always gonna be at uneased. You're never gonna feel at rest in this place, because that the spirit that's in you was created to uphold righteousness. It was created to dwell in righteousness. It wants to see righteousness flourish. All right, and in the kingdom of wickedness and the kingdom of adultery and abominations happening, your spirit's never gonna feel at ease here. All right, that's why it says what in the book of let me grab it right quick. This is 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 13. 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 13. Nevertheless, we according to his promise look for a new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. You see? And that new heaven and new earth is the kingdom of heaven. All right, and that's what we're looking out for. That's what we're seeking for. All right, so in this kingdom, in this rulership, in Esau's kingdom, we're never going to have rest, and we're always going to be vexed. All right, just like it also says, what in that place vex Lot's righteous soul. All right, and we are coming in that stead. See, so just like how Jeremiah was angry, frustrated at our people, you know, we feel the same way. But at the end of the day, we have a job to do. All right, and that just shows that your diligence, and that just shows your zeal to please the Lord. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it. What exactly Gemini has said, and dissect what they talking about. It says, at its core, Jeremiah 20:9 captures the intent, eternal confliction between the human exhaustion and divine calling. It is one of the most raw and honest expressions of vocational burden in scriptures. And this is in the NRSV. It says, if I say I will not mention him or speak any more in his name, then within me there is something like a burning fire shut up in my bone. I am weary with holding it in, and I cannot. All right. The background, it says Jeremiah has been beaten, locked in public woodstocks, and and ridiculed for preaching warning messages of judgment to the people of Jerusalem, demonstrating by the consent, rejection, and hostility. He made a personal choice. He was going to quit. He decided he would no longer speak in God's name or warn the people. You know, so basically, that was on point. You know, he was at the point where he didn't want to tell these people what's going to befall them, but at the same time, he knew he had a job to do. You know, and once this thing is in you, once you have a certain zeal and a certain tides to it, it's where it's almost become therapeutic. We make these videos, we go on the highways and byways, because if we don't, something feels off. You can feel something is wrong because the Lord has called you. He had created you to do this very job, and you're going against the nature of what you were created to do. That's why it feels that way. That's why it feels uneasy when you don't do a video for so long, or when you don't go on the highways and byways, or you don't probably read for a couple days, or you don't watch a video. Your spirit feels off. Something doesn't feel right. And that's the spirit within you yearning and calling out that, hey, listen, you need to do something. You need to do some work. It was at a point where Jeremiah said he got weary. Let me look up that word, weary. The word weary, it says feeling very tired, worn out, or lacking energy, using after working hard or experiencing a long strain. See, and Jeremiah felt this way not doing the work. So just imagine you feel tired, exhausted because you didn't do the work. This is how Jeremiah felt. It says being drained of strength or force, as in having a weary brain or a weary eyes. We've all felt weary before. We felt tired, you know, whether you're coming back from the gym or you're just not getting off a 12-hour shift or a 16-hour shift, or sometimes a double. You know, you work one job in the morning and another job at night. All right. Or you just been dealing with a lot that whole entire day. You know, you didn't get a wink of sleep and you run off for 3 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep. We've all felt weird before, you know, but Jeremiah, he felt this way of withholding the truth from the people, something that he was called to do. He felt that way on not doing the work. So just paint a picture. Just like imagine that feeling. Just imagine the tiredness of feeling that you feel but you haven't did no videos. You haven't went on the highways and byways. You haven't been reading. You haven't been studying. All right? That's how you're supposed to be feeling. If you go that long without doing something, your mind's supposed to be conflicting you. Your mind, your actions, your body, your especially your mind, your spirit is supposed to be calling out and yearning to do something. Man, I gotta go read something, man. I gotta go do something. This is getting ridiculous. I'm getting tired. I haven't watched a video yet. I haven't did a video. I haven't did this and did that. Jeremiah was what did it say? He was worn out and quitting, and this is the reason why back in the AI, back at the top, it says is an internal confliction between the human exhaustion and divine calling. See, Jeremiah was called, to do a certain job, but what that job consisted of being ridiculed, of being mocked, of being locked up, of being beaten. So what? It was a conflict between his human exhaustion. So he was tired physically, but ultimately he was mad. So he said, well, you know what? I ain't going to preach no more to these people. I'm not going to tell them what's going to befall them. But he found out that was even more exhausting than telling them. Like he said in the scriptures. Hold on. Let me read it in the King James. I mean, the NRSV is cool, but I want to hear it in the King James Version. Jeremiah Slakia 20 and verse 9, it says, then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name, but his word was in my heart as a burning fire, shut up in my bones. And I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. You see? So that word was so much into Jeremiah. He was so developed and he was so focused on the Lord's work, where it physically messed with him and mentally messed with him on not doing it. And we should have the same attitude. All right? We should have that same exact attitude. Let me continue on in this Gemini. It says key themes and meanings. It says Jeremiah learns that God's message isn't just a job he can clock out of. It has become part of his very identity and consciousness. You see, so when you get in this truth, when you immerse yourself in this truth, don't look at it as just a job that you do. That you wake up, I got to do a video today. I got to read. I got to, got to congregate. No, this becomes who you are. You develop a certain personality in this thing. You develop certain characteristics, certain customs that you like. All right. It says what? It has become part of his identity and conscious. You develop a conscience. 2/3 of our people don't have a conscience. They just do whatever the hell feels good to them. Whatever feels good to them, that's what our people do. They don't have a moral compass or a consciousness of knowing what's right and what's wrong. The scripture says what? The things that are pleasing unto the Lord are made known unto us. We actually have the knowledge to make the Lord mad, to make the Lord happy, to make the Lord feel how can I say? I was trying to think of a word. I didn't want to use the word proud, but fuck it. To make the Lord feel proud about us when we do certain things that he tells us to do, when we adhere to the Spirit, where he looks down and said, that's what I'm talking about. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You did exactly what I told you to do. I wouldn't, in the words of Apostle Rakah, I didn't expect nothing less. I knew you was going to do it. I knew you was going to get that job done. I knew you was gonna get serious. You was gonna buckle down and do what I told you to do. I knew it was gonna. I knew you could do it. That's why. That's why I meant for you to do it. You see? That's why I put that. That's why I put that on you, because I knew you could get it done. So when you come into this truth becomes. You're supposed to become a. This is the reason why the scripture says. Matter of fact, let me grab it. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 17. It says, therefore, if any man be in Mashiach, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. You see? So when you come into this truth, man, you're supposed to bring on a new identity. You're supposed to become a completely new person. That old person is supposed to become unrecognizable. That old man that you were in the past, he is supposed to die off. The way he thinks, his characteristics, his mannerisms, his logic, his way of thinking, all that is supposed to die off. When you come into this truth, you're supposed to develop a new identity, a new conscience. Ones that seeks after righteousness, ones that seeks after justice. All right. Let's continue on. It says, suppressing God's truth physically and emotionally tortured him for it says far more than the persecution he faced from the outside world. You see? And I just said this. I said what? Suppressing God's truth physically and emotionally tortured him far more than persecution from facing from the outside world. So just the fact that he didn't do the work, or just the fact that he was holding or suppressing the work of Yahweh Bashim Yahshua, that was more torturous, that was more hard than anything that he faced in the world. So just imagine all the hell that you catch, the ups and downs, you losing a job, you losing family members, you losing houses or whatever, you losing certain possessions that you had. Just imagine that they're not preaching the truth, not doing the work of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, because doing the work goes way more. It goes, further into just doing videos. There's a lot more that you can do besides doing videos. Videos is a very important part of this ministry, of this walk that we do, of the work. Don't get me wrong, but there's other things that you could do more. Fellowshipping is one of them. Being available. If a brother is in need, if a brother needs somebody to help him do a certain task or a certain situation, a brother, you're becoming that availability. If a brother is low on funds, all right, you offering up your funds to that brother. Scripture says what? Lose thy money for thy brother's sake. If a brother is in need of even if a place to stay, you're there to comfort that brother. Scripture says what? Walk with him twine. All right. So so this ministry goes more into just doing videos and doing your lessons, which I'm not diminishing from it. I'm not saying that take that lightly. We all have a job, and that's part of the job, but there's more to it than just that. All right. But just imagine you're doing none of those things. Jeremiah felt that was way more exhausting than any of the hell that he caught. All right. That's why Paul said what? He endured everything for the election's sake. Matter of fact, speaking about Paul, let's get this one right quick. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 16. It says, for though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of. For necessity is laid up for me. Yea, woe to me if I preach not the gospel. You see? So what? Woe means what? Destruction or death. If I don't teach these things, if I don't say these words, if I don't write these epistles to you, if I don't find you company, if I don't do these things, if I don't work in this ministry, death be unto me. That's how much more important it is for this work than anything we got going on in the world. Everything that we got going on in the world is secondary when it comes to this work. You see? Jeremiah expressed that. Paul expressed that. And all the apostles and men that we read about in the scriptures, they all express a type of what am I trying to say? A type of yearning for this truth. Let's look up that word yearning, because I'm always quoting it, but I never looked it up. How do you spell yearning? I'm gonna use my phone. Yearning.
Yearning.
Yep, yearning. I'm gonna read off my phone. Just I'll pull it up, because I don't want y'all to think I'm just making up anything. It says yearning is an intense, deep, or often restless longing or desire for someone or something that is absent, lost, or hard to attain. All right. It says deep, unlike a casual wish or simple want, yearning feels heavy emotions and persistence. You see, so it's not the fact that you want to do this truth. You're yearning for it. You have a deep desire to do it. It's more like Google said. It says what? Unlike a casual wish or something once, yearning feels deep, emotional, and persistence. When you yearn for something, it's like you want every fiber of your being wants that thing. So when you yearn for Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, for this truth, everything comes secondary. You don't look at nothing else. You say, hey, listen, I need to do this work first and foremost. This is what that must be done. This is my work. This is the only thing that I care about. This is the thing I'm hoping that my sacrifice is accepted in the eyes of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. All right? That's all that matters. Everything else is secondary. Everything else can come later. And Jeremiah, he expressed that. All right? He's seeing that, listen, holding back the truth, holding back the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, that's more exhausting, that's more emotional torment than anything that you face in the world. All right? Let's continue on. It says the phrase, I am weary with holding it in and I cannot, shows that staying silent felt heavier than speaking out. Fighting against the true calling. See what scripture says, what? Many are called, few are chosen. So you were called to do a work. And here it is. If you're not doing that work, then guess what? You're fighting against it. Fighting against his true calling required more energy than enduring the public mockery. You see? So here he is. If you were called to do a certain work and you're fighting against that, that's you're exhausting way more energy than any hell that you're gonna catch in this place. That, at least that's the way it's supposed to be. Now check this out. If you can go months without doing a video and don't feel no type of way, if you can go months without reading or watching videos or talking to certain brothers, if you can go that long, then guess what? Maybe this thing ain't for you. Maybe you're not really in the truth like you think you are. All right? Because a certain man, especially a man of the Lord, he's going to feel a type of way when it comes to this work, when it comes to this ministry. You ain't going to catch him months, weeks, no reading, no videos. He hasn't watched a video since when? He hasn't read a scripture. He don't know when. He hasn't sent up a prayer to the Lord in days. You're not going to catch a man of the Lord like that. When the scriptures compares us to the Lord's wife, to a Lord's woman, just imagine how much your woman is on you. You supposed to be that way to the Lord. And I'm talking about actual virtuous woman, a woman that you took her V card, you took her virginity. Now it's a thing where if a man takes a woman's virginity, that woman is like attached to that man. That's all she thinks about. I've had certain cousins. I've grew up with certain cousins where they lost their virginity to certain men, and they did some horrific things to just get in that man's presence. I'm talking about stole cars, stole money, just to go see the man. That's how tight and connected we are supposed to be with the Lord. All right. And if you find yourself getting weak, or you find yourself not doing these things, your inner conscious, your inner being is gonna torment you way more than anything that this world is gonna anything that this world is gonna throw at you. You gonna feel conflicted in your spirit. Damn, man, I haven't did a video, man. Fuck, man, I haven't watched a video. When the last time I sent up a prayer? It's gonna feel you're gonna feel off. You're not gonna feel whole, and it's gonna, guess what? It's gonna constantly keep increasing. It says the passage highlights that being called by Yahweh doesn't make a person immune to despair, burnt out, or wanting to throw in the towel. All right, because of what? The Lord ain't calling no quitters, man. The Lord ain't calling no quitters. The men of the Lord, the 144 elect chosen men, the 1/3, those are all winners. Just like how your father, when he goes into your mother, and it takes that one seed to win, that one seed is the elect. All right, that one seed that hits the egg and pierces through the egg and gets fertilized, and then it goes down. I don't know how the whole reproduction process, but it goes down and it fertilizes and it becomes a baby. That's the elect. They're gonna win. All right, and the 2/3, they're gonna have to get it on the other side. They don't really care about the Lord right now. You see? Let me read that one over. It says the passage highlights that being called by Yahweh doesn't make a person immune to despair, burnt out, or wanting to throw in the towel. Yeah, because listen, you're gonna feel you're gonna feel that pressure. All right. Sometimes you might feel that burnout, or you might feel that the spirit is not dealing with you. Listen, it's times where I wanted to do a video so bad, I just couldn't think of a topic. I was like, damn, I can't think of a topic. I watched the video today, I read it today, I just couldn't think of nothing. And then I just said, I gotta throw. I'm not finna just throw up anything, and that's where prayer comes in at. All right, you might pray for a topic, or you might watch more videos. You might read a little bit more until you're fighting to stay in the spirit. You're fighting for the spirit to be put upon you sometimes. So just because you were called doesn't make you immune, like Gemini says, it doesn't make you immune to despair. It doesn't make you immune to burnout, or it doesn't make you immune to wanting to throw in a towel. But we understand that if we do these things, if we do, like Paul said in Corinthians, if we do these things, then guess what? It's going to be death unto us. A more worse judgment is going to happen to us if we give up, if we quit, if we do throw in that towel. We might want to. It might feel good to do it. Like, man, I can just quit right now, and it feels so good. It feels so good for a moment. But when the Lord cracks them clouds, and He looks at you eye to eye, and you can't even look up because you knew what you were supposed to do and you didn't even do it. You were called to do a job. The Lord called you to do a job and you didn't do it. The shame that's gonna hit you when the Lord cracks them clouds is unimaginable. I can't even imagine, and that's something I don't want to have to experience. I don't want the Lord to crack them clouds. I don't want the Lord to come back and look down on me like you didn't do enough. You were going too weak. You were walking when I called you to run. I called you to run. You dragging your feet. Um, that's pretty much it on the AI. This is Ezekiel chapter 3 in verse 8. It says, "Behold, I have made thy face strong against their face, and thy forehead strong against their forehead. As an adamant hardened than flint have I made thy forehead. Fear them not, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house." Right? And in Ezekiel, the Lord was warning Ezekiel, listen, this is going to be, you're going to come across a lot of rockhead and hard, stiff-necked people. Be just as hard on them as they are on you. So just as hard as our people believe in the bullshit that Esau has fed them, you supposed to return that right back into them. It says what? As an adamant harder than flint. Now this word adamant, matter of fact, that's where brothers that deals in the Marvel universe, that's actually where they get the metal adamantium. All right, it comes from this word adamant. Let's look it up. And if you don't know what adamantium is the stuff that Wolverine's claws is made out of. His skeleton, that metal that they pumped into Wolverine in his claws, that's called adamantium.
Adamant.
And that's adamant. You get here it is. It says a legendary stone of impervious hardness, often associated with a diamond or a lewd stone. This is word adamant. Inflexible, unyielding, or stubborn, unwilling to change your mind or bend or a rule, refusing to give a way under pressure, having a firm and fixed purpose that is hard to change. You see? So what? You're supposed to, just like how they are to you, you are supposed to be the same way back unto them. All right? Unwavering, unmovable. They want to be stiff-hearted and stiff-necked in the bullshit they believe in. Well, guess what? You be stiff-hearted and stiff-necked in the righteous and true way of Yahweh Bashim Yahshua and his teachings and these precepts. All right? That's the way it's written. That's the way it's that's the only way you can come when it's dealing with our people. Because they're going to come with some madness. And they really wholeheartedly believes it. Some of our people out here are completely bugged out of their mind. And guess what? They believe that bugged outedness. If that's a word, bug outedness. They believe that they believe that bullshit. You got some of our people who's been believing this bullshit all their life. And here you telling them that it's bullshit and you tell them it's not true. Then like Morpheus said in Matrix, they're not ready to hear the truth. They're not ready to be unplugged. They're so dependent, so accustomed to this world that when you tell them the truth, they can't even understand it. The lines aren't clicking upstairs. It's not making sense to them. All right. So that's the lesson. That's all I had for this lesson. I looked up, that I was just thinking about that Jeremiah. I was thinking about that Jeremiah 20:9, and I just want to know what AI I want to know its look and what it had to add to it, which it went a little deeper than what I expected it to, but it hit the points. It definitely hit the points, So even though Jeremiah was tired, he was weary. It couldn't be compared to the weariness that he felt of not doing the work. All right, and each single one of us men especially in Great Millstone, we should feel that same we should feel that same tiredness when it comes to doing this work. All right. And when I say when it comes to do this work, which means if you're not doing the work, all right, if you find yourself not doing what you're supposed to be doing, your conscience, your mind should be the number one thing conflicting you. Your conscience should what I'm trying to say, should stay on you. It should be like, hey man, you haven't read today. You haven't watched a video today. You haven't did a lesson. When the last time you did a lesson? When the last time you threw up a prayer? Recite the Lord's Prayer right now. You should test yourself. You know? And if you find yourself on the ladder end, on the back end, and not where you want to be, then you need to improve. You need to do something about it. You know? But your conscience should be the first thing that's on you. All right? That's all I got to say with the lesson. That's all I got to say in this lesson, man. Lord, I hope this video is edifying. Until next time, shalom.